Good morning, everyone. You look very festive there, Wally. How is everyone today? Good. All right. I didn't have, hey, Chip. I didn't have anything specific to talk about today. I know some question, people might have some questions and things. I wanted to go over that. Otherwise, well, the specific thing that I had was maybe just looking, looking at specifically how to set up acquisitions, more in detail than we've done before. But if anybody has specific questions or something that they're curious about, you've seen a field that you're like, I don't know what that field is about, we can explore it and figure it out. So I should preface this all with, this is the, the November meeting of the acquisition SIG, just for online people that are wondering. And as far as koha-US goes, we have, okay, Chip, help me out here, but we've got the ballots going on for officers. Mm-hmm. And shortly we should have the ballots opening for locations for next year, conference.
Yeah, conference locations. So that email should go out by the end of the week.
Okay.
I believe. Yep.
All right. Get a little more light here. Yeah, so those are the two main things that are happening right now. The voting for officers, is that when does that close? Is that we had like 2 weeks on that? I just voted as soon as I saw the email so that I didn't have to worry about the when
I think it's the end of this week.
End of this week. Okay.
I think.
Okay. Yeah. And that's what it seemed like to me, because I think it was open for like 2 weeks and I think it opened last week.
Yeah, I found Andrew's email. He says it closes Friday, 11/21.
Okay, that's this Friday. Okay, good. Then yeah. So if you haven't voted on officers for koha-US, go ahead and do that. They're all running uncontested. I will say that. So if you can do that, and then just keep your eyes open for an email on voting for the location for next year's conference. And if you aren't a member of koha-US, now is a great time to become one, and then you can participate in some of the decisions and where we end up next year. Okay, so I sort of rambled on a little bit there to give you a chance to think about things that you've got questions related to. Does anybody have anything that they would like to look at? Otherwise, we'll just start going through stuff and it might rattle your memory.
I have a question, Rhonda, and I sent you an email, but first, you usually go around and have us introduce ourselves. Do we want to do that since?
Yep, that's a good idea. Because I'm seeing some new names here, so we can do that. So Wally, you're first on my screen.
All right. I'm Wally DesChamps. I am from Prosper Community Library in Texas in the DFW area.
Okay. I'm next on my screen. So my name is Rhonda Kuiper. I work at the Round Rock Public Library. We're, what would we say, 15, 20 miles outside of Austin and in Texas. And yeah, our library has been on Koha since 2016. So David, you are next on mine.
David at Carrollton Public, also in the DFW area, and we've been on Koha since April.
Since April. Okay, well, welcome. Holly.
Sorry, I'm here. I'm here at the Round Rock Library with Rhonda, just filing gripes with Ingram while I'm listening in. That's all for me.
Okay. Thanks. Chip.
I'm Chip Halvorsen at Westlake Porter Public Library. I'm a system administrator, and we're in a suburb of Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. Monique.
Good morning. My name is Monique Matta, and I am with the San Luis Obispo County Library System in California. We're about, I'd say, an hour and a half north of Santa Barbara, just to give you an idea of where we are. We call it the Central Coast of California. And we have been with Koha since, I want to say, spring of 2022. And I'm the Adult Services Coordinator. So I do the purchasing for our adult collections.
All right. Thanks, Monique. Jennifer.
Hi, I'm Jennifer McNicol from the Somerset County Library System in New Jersey, and we went live with Koha yesterday.
Oh, well,
But-
welcome.
But acquisitions were not going to start until January. We're going to start that with our 2026 budgets.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Well, welcome. And then Amy.
Hi, my name is Amy Banks, and I'm a collection and cataloging librarian for the State Library for Utah. So we're located in Salt Lake City, and we've been on Koha since the end of September.
Okay. All right. Daphne.
Hi, I'm Daphne Hoolahan from Interleaf Technology in Ireland. We've been supporting Koha for, I think it's almost 25 years, since the beginning anyway. And I, although I'm not a user, I come here to pick up all the tips from you. So
Well, welcome.
me.
Yeah. Thanks, Daphne. Now, R. Schumann, I guess.
Sometimes it puts my name, sometimes it doesn't. My name's Ray Schumann. I work with Amy at the State Library, Utah State Library. And yeah, we're still figuring acquisitions out because we went live a week after they updated the acquisitions module. And so we have no idea what's going on.
Okay. All right. Jennifer.
Oh, you got me already.
Oh, I got you
Yep.
already. I noticed things
Everybody
moved around
moved.
a little bit. Yeah. All right, let's try Lisa.
I'm Lisa. I work for the Private Academic Library Network of Indiana, and we're planning a Koha migration.
Oh, okay. Do you have a scheduled time, or is it still something
It's TBA.
Okay. All right, that works. And then Maribel.
Hi, I'm Maribel Carrillo, and I'm from Monterey County Free Libraries in California, and we joined in 2022.
Okay, well, welcome. Okay, great. So it sounds like we've got people that have been with Koha a long time, people that are new. So this is a great opportunity to share and learn and all that good stuff. So, all right, then back to Wally. He had a question.
Yeah. I'm trying to get us converted over from using a regular old spreadsheet in Excel to figuring out and using Acquisitions 2.0 within Koha. And I'm working in the demo site. So I'm beginning to set up just some like a playground for us to kind of piddle with until I'm ready to move in. The question that I posed to Rhonda in an email yesterday, and I'm kind of glad today's meeting is today because maybe this will help others. When you're setting up your funds and budgets and such. I know you can put in like your fiscal year budget, and then you can break it out into our fund, and then break it out into your collection codes or whatever way you want to separate things out, even in subsets. However, is there the ability to see how that affect, like when you place an order, and I'm not placing an order automatically yet, I'm still I still will be hand doing that for a few months before we get our connections to Ingram and such set up. But let's just say I place a $1,000 book order for our adult systems, and they come in, and I mark it as that they have come in. Is there anything that shows that how that affects the full fund? In other words, like a running total, so that when we get to a point and we have to do some shifting, and moving from fund to fund, we decide we want to put more into our large print or something as we get closer to like April or something. Is there an automatic movement of funds if we've moved from one to another? Does that do things like if you set up formulas in a spreadsheet, or how does all that work? Because I only see the line that shows what my budget was, or what my fund balance was.
Right. So, yeah, that's a question that has come up many times in this discussion in this group. And we actually, as a group, hammered out details on how we wanted this kind of the short answer is no, there's no way to do it right now. So we had hammered out a way to, how we wanted it to look if that function would be added. And the good news is in 2.0, that's just going to be automatically, that will be part of 2.0. That when the ability to move money from one place to another, from one fund to another, be more specific. What we had asked, I've got all these notes on my desk, and one of them is the bug number for the bug that we put in there. But basically the ability to increase funds, decrease funds, and move funds from, sometimes you just, COVID year, the city decides you don't get as much money as we thought you were going to have. So you just decrease the funds. Sometimes you get a gift from a donor, and then you can just increase funds. Other times, like you mentioned, you're shifting money from one fund to another fund because you're not spending as much, or you need to spend more in another one. So we talked about all three of those features right now. And Daphne, you can weigh in on this too. The way we do it is we use the notes field. I'm gonna share my screen here a minute. If I can figure out, they put it in bright green. How nice of them. Okay, so, all right, I've got the right screen. So this is on the demonstration site for koha-US, and it is one of the, did I just lose you all? Yeah, I did. Darn. Hang on. I was going to move it to my other monitor, but then I realized that would only make it so that you guys couldn't see it. So can you all see that fund now thing? Okay. So this is a fund. And so what we do, and maybe somebody else has a more clever way of doing this. So let's say, so we've got the adult audiovisual, let me back up just so that you all have context for this. So here's a budget in the demonstration site, and what, I don't even remember. I think it was, so let's pretend that we want to spend more on Blu-rays than DVDs than what we've got here. So what we would do is we would go into the DVD fund, and we would put a note down here, 500 moved to adult Blu-ray, something like that. And then we would just deduct that from here. And submit it. And then we would go to the Blu-ray, edit that, put a note in here, 500 added from DVD, and then up that and submit. That is the best that we could come up with. I don't know if anybody else has ideas, or has a better workflow that you have used, but for now, I think that's the best that we came up with. And then, like I said, Acquisitions 2.0 is going to have the ability to move. I think that's the biggest concern for people, is moving, because you've got to keep track of everything while you're moving stuff.
All right, Rhonda, scroll down to the bottom of your screen just a second. Yeah, right there. All right, so in this base level allocated, and you have all the different funds there, but you have your period allocation of 250. Is there anywhere that shows how this 130 is affecting this 250? So let's just say after you allocate everything, you still have a $2,500 slush fund, and so you can just add $500 and it really not affect anything. It'll come out of that slush fund until you hit the 250,000, or if you go over it, it turns red or anything like that. Is there anything coming in 2.0 that would also relate all those base levels to that big number?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay.
So Wally, I'm confused at your question, because when I enter, the period allocated is the total we're budgeting for the fiscal year. And so everything that I put into each fund, we can't go over the 250,000. And I understand you're saying maybe there's a slush fund. But I think this one that Rhonda has up, there's a second page to it. So we're not able to see all of the funds allocated. I think if you show the entries, if you increase it to 50 or 100 at the top, you may be able to see all of them. So you're asking if there's a way to see if the extra money shows up anywhere. Is that what you're asking, Wally?
Not yes and no. What I'm asking is, for instance, I put in our play budget $60,000. If I do it in my spreadsheet, it's 58,820 or something like that, which leaves a $1,100 and something unaccounted for in our base level allocation. In other words, you see what I'm saying? And so what I'm saying is that of my 60,000, I have budgeted, based on previous years and whatever, and gotten it down to the penny, so to speak, 58,000. So I have $1,200 that is not accounted for yet, so that if I want to add $500 to young adult fiction, I can do so without having to add and subtract from various other funds within or budgets within that base level allocated list. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
I
so what
think
would happen is if you have the period allocated on the left of 250,000
Mm-hmm.
and see where it says base level allocated,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't, like let's say youth DVD, you put in 4,000. The bottom number there will end up being 249,000
Hmm.
of that. And so you'll see that you're not matching. There's $1,000 to play with.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I understand what you're saying. And now I see. In other words, my thing was looking over there at the period allocation and seeing whether it was red or black. And so I see what you're saying. That makes sense. I guess I'm just looking, I set up my spreadsheets to where everything comes up. The bottom line is in a space by itself over to the side, and I can see exactly how close I'm coming to my bottom line number. And this does, what you're saying does do that. It's just I'm looking in a different place. So that's good. I see what you're saying.
Wally, what we do too is that I create a separate fund and I just name it contingency. And I put an extra, if we have extra money, we put it there. And then from there, I transfer it to wherever is needed.
Yeah, that's excellent. That's a good idea. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Wally, for the question. Is there any other questions that we have related to funds?
When is 2.0 expected to come out again?
We should know that better after the KohaCon, which is going on right now. But it will be rolled out over time. So maybe a couple of years, different functions will get added over time. So they've already put in the update for the vendors that 2.0 is going to kind of be based. Some of the enhancements are rolled into that. Okay. So I was kind of curious to see if people use the statistic 1 and statistic 2 in acquisitions. I was curious to see what kinds of things people use those for. Does anybody use statistics 1 or statistics 2?
some of my clients use them in an academic environment, for the name of the lecturer who asked them to buy books into the library.
Okay. Okay. Yep. Yeah, we've never figured out a way to use them, but I was just kind of curious.
I need to go back to my notes because I remember we talked about this, I think either this time or 2 times ago or whatever. And I had some ideas of how to use it. I need to go back and find my notes on that because I'll try to remember to, when I find it, send it to you so we can talk about it
Okay.
next time.
Yeah. Yeah. So, thoughts. I had one thought, I was kind of curious if this could be used to figure out, like for the adult collection, how much is spent on each Dewey 100. But I think we would need to each basket would need to be just a specific 100 then? Is that right?
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
So it's really, if you think about just like that, where you want to get analysis that's not currently available at the base level. So if you have set up lots of funds, you rarely use statistic one or statistic two, because you've got enough breakdown in the fund name to know it's for this department or it's for this type of material or whatever. But if you just had a very simple fund structure that was sort of reference and fiction or whatever, you could then say, well, within reference, we'll break it out into subject areas, or material type, the difference between ebooks and print books. But if you have a very good fund structure, you probably won't use it. I suppose it's more an extension of the fund structure, but you can't do it at each individual line.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of thinking about it. That was kind of where I was coming out on it.
I remember what it was that I had. I was going to use one of the lines just to earmark it, whether it was a replacement or whether it was a new purchase. So in other words, either replacement for damage or lost, or whether it was something new being added.
Okay. Yep. And that would be, you'd have to do that by basket, which we kind of do anyway. Duplicates, we end up, what we call duplicates, things that are being replaced, or, replacing a loss or replacing a damage or whatever. We have a separate account so that we don't have to pay for the mark record again. So we'll send it on what we call our dupes account, and that would sort of separate that out. That would be easy one to do.
Rhonda, I had a question on, I don't know if we discussed it for 2.0, but there's the planning option for the budget. And I'm wondering, because I can put things in there like, break it down by 11 months or 10 months, whatever I want to do, and say, okay, in order to spend this fund, each selector needs to spend, just say 500 per month.
Right.
But they can never really see that. It's not helping them any.
Oh, yeah. So let's see, where do we go in here? Planning. There it is. So yeah, so what Chrissy's talking about is, if you're looking at a budget, there's this planning option, and you can see plans by month, by library, or by item types. So if you click on plan by month, it will show you allocations. Let's hide some of these so we can actually see what's in here. So it will show you.
You can just autofill on the right. Yeah. And then so that shows you like what they should be spending. And I'm wondering, again, it's of no use really to anyone, because there's no like, oh, you're $500 under, you're planning, or I don't see where this correlates anywhere else but here.
Yeah, I agree. I've looked at this a few times and couldn't really figure out how to connect it with, but that's a really good question.
Can you not, like, in other words, if I wanted to share this with our, in this case, adult collection person, could I not export it out and just give it to them for them as a working document, for them to at least have a idea of where they need to kind of target every month, and then maybe every quarter run it again to see where they are? Would that do any good?
Well, that's the gotcha of this, because if we go back to, how do I get back to?
I think it's really just used for trying to set a consistent thing at the start of the year. So if you've said our budget is to be 1,250 for every month, if
Mhm.
in January or February I go over, it'll give me the warning that you're spending more than you should be spending this month.
Oh, I didn't.
Rather than
There was a
if you
warning.
don't have that there, you'll only get a warning when you completely overspend on the fund.
Oh, I had no idea there was a warning.
Yeah, we
associated.
don't get warnings.
Oh, do you not? Oh, okay.
Where do you see those, Daphne?
I don't know. I've never seen it, but that's I think what I read or what it's meant to do, but I've never
Mhm.
used it.
Yeah,
But I
that would
think it's just for estimates. It's not actually tracking the spend against.
the month or
Hmm.
by libraries.
Yeah, I just thought it would be helpful. Like, so we have collection development meetings and, and I usually hand out reports of where we are in the budget and someone's overspending, underspending. And granted, we could all do that manually, but I was hoping to set up this planning. Like Wally said, I could, maybe export it out, but it's still not giving a very accurate report. There's a lot of manual work that needs to be done.
Mhm. They've got way too many libraries in this test system.
Well, I think it's a very old piece of functionality that has been in the module probably from the beginning. And it probably hasn't been used much, so it hasn't developed the way it should have, Christy. And I think some of it, one of the reasons behind it was where you needed to preserve some of your money. Maybe say you knew you had to renew all your subscriptions by November. So you put a huge amount of money aside for November. And, all year it looked like you had lots of money available, but you had to make sure that you had that money available in November so you could renew your subscriptions for next year.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I've not used this. I mean, I've gone in and looked at it, and for a while it wasn't even working, but it seems to be working now.
If nothing else, you could potentially fill it in and export it out into a spreadsheet and then manually, adjust things in the spreadsheet that you hand out at your staff meetings quarterly or whatever, just so that they can, again, the formulas are all there or can be put in. I don't know. Instead of having to create a spreadsheet, you could export and then modify this to function as you would want with your staff until this actually maybe becomes a real usable thing.
Yeah, because it would, what Daphne said about, if you got a warning when you had this set that, oh, you're hitting your thing, because I know for, my collection development, I just have one of the hundreds in adult nonfiction. And I know that in October, I spend way more than I do, say, January or something like that. So, to be able to see that over time, how much I spent. I mean, I've got spreadsheets that I track this stuff in, and I can see how much I spend more, but it would be interesting to have this built into Koha. But I will ask the question to see. Nobody has said anything about this planning module yet in any of the meetings I've been at for 2.0. So I'm not sure, Daphne's comment about this was real old part of it and stuff. I don't know if we'll have this. I think they're trying not to lose function, but we will see. Okay.
I had one more question.
Sure.
So I know, especially you, Rhonda, and I know some other people may have followed suit. So when you create your funds every fiscal year, it sounds like many of you will be doing like adult video 25, 26, or whatever your fiscal year is.
Yeah.
And that's helpful for you because towards the end of the fiscal year, you could transfer like to the next adult video, like 26, 27, any orders that have not come in. So we have been doing it just like you see on the screen, like adult fiction. And so we don't have any fiscal years attached to that. And one of the reasons, I guess, when I took over acquisitions, we had it this way, but it seems like for reporting reasons, we can just take like the adult fiction category and say, okay, what did we order in this, 23 to 27 or something. Whereas if we had it broken down by fiscal year, the reporting would be very limited. There's that question. There's also about the database being very large by putting a category for each fund for every fiscal year. So I just wanted to get comments on just, is it a better, it sounds like it may be a better way to put the fiscal year in, but then you're not getting accurate reports, or you have to pull them by fiscal year as opposed to bulking them into like 23 to 27. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has any comments. I'm still thinking. So what Christy is saying is every year we will do the fund name becomes adult audiovisual. What is this? 25. So we'll have a what's that? Apostrophe 25 after this apostrophe. And then next year for our 2026 budget, when we roll it over, all the fund codes are the same, but we will change the fund names to audiovisual 26. So the names will be different. So Christy, help me understand. So you're looking for maybe a 5-year, how much you spent over a 5-year period or something like that, right?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if you just answered my question. So if we pull a report just by a fund code as opposed to a fund name, I think that's how we pull them, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you answered my question. That's very helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can I ask a question related to that? We're looking at how to set it up, and originally we were just going to go with the straight fund codes, but then we often will have things that maybe we ordered in 2025 using the 2025 budget, but they don't show up until 2026. So then we thought maybe we needed the year with the budget. There was no other way for KOHA to be able to determine which year we should be counting the receipt of the item against. I don't know if that makes sense or how people handle that.
Yeah. So I'm gonna start talking, and if I'm way off, stop me. Okay.
Okay.
So what we do, so in the situation, let's just look at this. So we pretend it's the end of the year, and we've got $136 ordered, but not received. And it's the end of the year. So your question is, okay, are you a use it or lose it library? Or
yes, from year to year.
Okay, yeah, that's sorry, that explained that a little better. So what we will do is we will close out this budget, and roll everything into the next year, the 2026 budget. So anything that's still outstanding ordered wise, we will roll into next year's ordered columns when we close it out. So your question was,
So we don't want it to deduct from the 2026 budget because we use 2025 funds to order it.
okay. So you, okay.
But you won't actually pay it until the next year, correct? Jennifer.
Right, right.
So what does your finance department consider it as? A 26?
It would be when it was
expenditure?
ordered. So it would be 2025. So maybe that's the difference. Maybe other people's finance systems don't work like that. But,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, ours, they don't consider it, they don't want us purchasing it until, we've received it. They don't consider it purchased until it's received. So then, this $136 would be considered a spend on the 2026 budget.
Okay.
They completely close it out.
Jennifer, you would have the option when you are doing your rollover. In Rhonda's case, when she's rolling over, she has to say items that are in order and not received in 2025 have to move into 2026. But you could bring them over and still have them paid in the 25 budget. So you don't want to put the year into the fund code. Don't ever do that, because what it means is when you go to make your funds for next year, you're going to have to set them all up manually.
Right.
So each of these that are listed here in the fund code, in the background, they are all linked to that budget for 2025. And it is a straightforward process to copy all of those funds into a new budget for 2026. But that will only work if the name of the fund code is exactly the same.
Right.
You can put the year into the fund name so that when you're selecting it from your drop down, you know it's the correct one that you're selecting, but don't put the year into the fund code.
Now, if we're receiving them like through EDI or something, how would the system know which year the audio fund code was from to determine if it was a 2025 order or a 2026 order?
I think by default it will use the code that it was ordered on, because if you're doing it manually, it comes up and it says to you, do you want to receive it from last year's budget, or do you want to change it to the new budget? So I think when you just have a fund, you think you're just ordering it from a fund, but in the background, EDI knows to link it to the relevant budget.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of clients that use EDI for invoicing. They do their invoices manually. And then the ones that do them automatically, I'm not sure if they're able to carry forward, and spend from the previous year. But would, I think when you're starting off with your structure, definitely don't put the year into the fund code.
Okay. All right. That's something we'll have to probably look into further.
Yeah. And the problem is it's hard to test EDI on your test server because it's probably not linked to the real world.
Right.
One thing I did sit down, because this whole end of year stuff is also something that we've discussed a lot here. And I sat down with Nick from Bywater and had him explain what would happen And the default behavior for EDI in the US is that it will use the most recently added, the budget year with the highest number. That's what it's going to go against.
Okay. Okay.
So like this ID right here is 11. So it's going to pick the budget with the highest ID number, and it will charge it against that one. And that's the EDI process in the US. It might be different in
Okay.
Europe and stuff.
Okay. And that's what we're trying to figure out how to avoid. So, okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yep.
So are you saying, Rhonda, that if you, okay, we picked adult video, it says 25 on the fund name. And we picked that for all of our orders for 25, but we're rolling that over. Let's say it's a trust fund and it's not, spend it or lose it, that type of thing.
Right.
So we're rolling it all over. So even though we picked adult video 25, the fund code is still a video here.
Yes.
So are you saying that even if we roll it over, all of those items will then be adult video 26?
They will get charged. My understanding is they will get charged to the 26 budget year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Unless you go in and you make 26 inactive and make 25 active, which is hard to do for EDI because you never know when it's going to come in.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have mixed years on the same invoice.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, then that's not even an option then.
But I think, Jennifer, when you are bringing forward, so when it gets to the end of the year and you're saying the outstanding orders have to be brought forward, you'll be able to say, bring the money forward, the allocated money forward as well. So that I think your new budget for 2026, that let's say it was set at $10,000, but there was 2,000 unspent from last year, it'll actually effectively be 12,000 for the new year, so that you can receive those orders.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, it's just bringing the money forward as well, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What would happen, Jennifer, if you left both budget years open? In other words, since you could receive in 2026, but you still wanted it to come out of budget 2025, you leave them both active. So then,
we were thinking it was going to pull from the most recent budget, that there wasn't a way to tell it to pull from the older budget. But we haven't actually done anything in practice yet, so that's why I'm wondering.
I would, are you supported by Bywater?
Yes.
Okay. I would put in a ticket and ask that question. I and
okay.
I know that Nick has dug into it for me. But yeah, I think what the code does, because Nick sort of went through the code, and this was the reason I'm hedging on it is because this was maybe 5 years ago that he looked at it. So things could have changed. But what he said was it's looking for the largest budget ID number. And that's because they're making the assumption that that's the most recent one. So that's the one you'd want to work with. But yeah.
Okay. All right. Definitely follow up. Thank you.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. We've got another 10 minutes. If anybody has another question. Otherwise,
I do have a quick question.
Sure.
Because I'm remembering something from koha-US, and obviously there was a lot of information. So my brain's trying to remember if I remembered it right. But is there a way, so you've done EDI ordering, you've received your items. Is there a way that you can automatically put in the invoice without individually putting everything in? Or is that the only option? Because like sometimes our numbers are wrong because with Ingram it says, okay, 40% off is the usual, but because of publishers, some was like 10, 20, da, da, da. Do we have to go in and fix those manually? Or was there something where you could like connect it so it does it itself?
Can you talk a little bit more about this? Because I'm not sure I
That's
understand.
fine. I just have a vague memory of somebody like saying something at one point of like, oh, it's so nice because you can put the invoice in and it corrects the. But again, I also understand that it was a really long conference that my brain absorbed everything it could, and I don't trust my memory on this.
Mhm.
So like when we put in our EDI orders, you know,
Right.
we download the file and send it off as an EDI in
Right.
Koha. And then, but that's just the general 40% across the board, which isn't always the correct number.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So is there a way that we can like, I don't know how, it doesn't make sense to me of how it would work, but I can dream.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm meaning?
I think so. So again, I'm going to start talking, and if it's not what you want to hear, stop me. So what happens with the EDI invoices that come in, they have the correct prices in there. So in this case, let's play with this one here. So we've got $136. Let's say this is I don't know, maybe we're buying something that's $136. Pardon me. Whew. So we ordered that with the standard 40% off when we shipped it off, because we had Ingram set up that way. But this is one of those, university press things or something that we only get a 10% discount on. When the EDI invoice comes in, it replaces whatever purchase price we had in the order with the correct what we actually paid for it.
So it will auto update itself?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
So what happens there is sometimes, you can see this is what we've ordered, but this is kind of fuzzy money, if you will, because there could be some variations in the discounts and things. So sometimes if you ordered, let's say we'll do even number, something easy, 10 books that were they just all happened to be university press. And they were, in our order, we took like 40% discount. And so our base level ordered, let's say all of the books were, let's see, 10, I'm trying to do some math in my head. It's not working, $5 each. And so we spent $50 on the, we see $50 ordered or against that budget. But when it comes in, we find out, oh, they were really $10 each. Who knows what that math is like, but, and so that was really $100 that we spent. So then your total available will fluctuate by $50. You'll have $50 less in your total available without ordering anything new. It's just when that receives, it corrects the actual price. Does that make sense?
Yes. Nope. We haven't successfully gotten an EDI order yet. So that's why I was like, what point does this work? So I'm very excited now.
Okay, good. We like excited. Excited is a great place to end our meeting too. Things I wanted to mention before we go away. I am going to cancel next month's meeting. It's should have been December 16, but December is crazy time. And I think for my personal sanity, it would probably be better to just not have that meeting. So the December meeting, we're going to cancel it. And the next meeting will be January 20th. I've emailed Christy to have her note that on the list of meetings for December. So hopefully everybody will get that information. And then I wanted to wish everybody some wonderful holiday time. If you're in the US, I think then we have Thanksgiving next week, holiday, and then of course Christmas and New Year's after that. So I wanted to wish everybody happy holidays, and we will see you next year, which is a little weird. But I don't know. The older I get, the shorter the years are. I know everybody says that, but it really is true. So is anybody else have anything that they want to mention before we wrap up today?
Oh, it's a tidbit. And Daphne is in Ireland, right?
Yeah.
But you guys may have seen this, but it said that Gen Zers in Britain are now Thanksgiving's the big thing to start celebrating there in Britain. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, well, do you know where I live in Ireland on the East Coast, south of Dublin, and it's in a nice holiday village. But we have a special event on in the village that we have a ladies' night every Christmas, and it always happens to fall on Thanksgiving. So even those of us that are not Gen Z, we go out, we do some shopping, and all the shops we go into, and they maybe give you a glass of prosecco or some chocolates, and then we go and have a meal at the end of the night, and the men don't; they stay well away.
That sounds so much fun.
Yeah, I think trip to Ireland is in order here.
Well, you're always welcome.
So that's coming up soon for you then.
Yes, is it the 27th? Yep.
Okay. That's Thanksgiving.
Yep. So I always remember all of you when I'm out and enjoying it as well. And of course, everywhere looks festive because they have the Christmas lights on and all that. So.
Oh, that sounds really fun. Yep, trip to Ireland. I think that's what's in order. So, all right. Well, have a wonderful holiday, and we will see you next year.
Bye. Yeah.